All right, what's up, cycling fans? We're back with another episode of Growlers with Willo, a pack chatter series. And we got a cool one for you again today. Before we start, though, let's hit the sponsors. First, we are sponsored by Legacy Bikes. That's Legacy with an I, Legaci bikes.com. They've got all your balance bike needs for your little one, so get them up on two wheels with Legacy Bikes. You can hit them on Facebook, their website, and they even have a new custom paint program for the frames. How cool is that? You can get your little one a custom painted balance bike. They're going to dig it. They're going to love riding as much as you do. So get them set up on Legacy Bikes. We're also brought to you by NISBRA, the New York State Bicycle Racing Association. NISBRA does all the behind the scenes work for racing in New York, whether we're talking about grants or upgrades or permits or officials, calendars, all the hard stuff. So show them some love, follow them on Facebook, check out their website, and hit them up if you need some support for your event or for your racing. They got lots of good stuff for you. We're also brought to you by the Rock Criterium in Grand Fondo coming up a little later on this month, July 27 and 28. We're going to kick it off with the Fondo. 5 different course options, 19 miles around the lake, 90-mile gravel extravaganza that is unbelievable, and a few really gnarly courses in between. So it doesn't matter your interest, your ability, we got something for you there between those courses. We've got a bottle of wine for everybody. We've got a pair of event socks for everybody. We've got a great meal for everybody. We've got live music for everybody. It's going to be a great party at Deer Run Winery on July 27th, and then roll it on back to July 28th, and we go to the Perry-Warsaw Airport for the best crit venue in cycling. Closed airport runway, 5 corners. You can see the full field from the sidelines. It's awesome. We got Smoking in the Valley Barbecue, Silver Lakes Brewing going to be up there, Vertical Cafe, lots of good fun stuff. Very family friendly. Bring your friends. Bring everybody to show them what you're all about as a racer, because they can see you race that course. So 2 days, great racing, everything on Bike Reg, 2 separate reg pages, the Rock Fondo, the Rock Crit. Hit us up, get registered, and come join us. All right, so let's get into this episode. This episode with Willo, our Growlers with Willo series, is where we're exploring different parts of the cycling community, particularly the mountain bike community, through the lens of Willo Glynn of Growler Bikes. He's a really interesting guy, very charismatic, very innovative, brings kind of a different approach to his company and sort of different aspects of the cycling community. And he's very community oriented, so we thought, what better to do a podcast around than sort of his vision on what that community does look like and should look like. So this episode we focused on events, and we filmed it at a really great event, Park Ave's Arrowhead Mountain Bike Series. It's a great staple in Western New York, put on by my good buddy Andy August, who puts on great events and has put on great events for a long time, and I've worked with him as a promoter. I've raced in lots of his events, and we did it again on Thursday. So we raced on Thursday on a really fun course in a really fun family friendly event, and then we sat down and we talked about what makes a good event and how we can kind of bring that community together around good events. We had a great guest with Alexa Harding. She jumped in on the show. She's going to organize an awesome event this summer, the Burning Bike Mountain Bike Festival, and as part of that, we're going to host a race. We got a few things to put together to make it official, but it looks like it's going to be official, so we're putting on a mountain bike race there on August 11th at Ontario County Park, and the event will be on August 10th and 11th. The festival will be a 2-day event. So check that out under Grok's website, because that's a Grok event. Be checking Bike Reg for the Burning Bike cross country race that we'll be hosting, and check out the episode where you can hear more about all of it with Willo, Alexa, and Jeff, who jumped in on the show. All right, I hope you enjoy.
You'll never go out on a training ride and dig that deep.
Awesome. We won gold.
They're life rides.
I'm like, dude, I'm still figuring this out.
Lose sight of the fact that it's whoever goes faster.
This isn't a road race. This isn't a mountain bike race.
The sensei of sprint, Todd Shesky.
My eyes are coming out of my head. Just get in here.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we're back with Growlers with Willo, and today we are at the Park Ave Arrowhead, Camp Arrowhead mountain bike series. This was the first one I've made this year. I think this was number
the third.
Third.
Yeah, because they canceled one and rescheduled it for next week.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're here with Alexa Harding today. She's our special guest. Well, we just raced. Before we start, we do have our growler. So today we got No BS Brewing from Lakeville, Canisius Lake. And
very excited to try this one, a little IPA today.
I got an IPA just for Willo. They gave us a couple little glasses too. So go hit them up on Canisius Lake and we'll see how their Finger Lakes. This is called the Finger Lakes IPA. So we'll see how this one is. Somebody's yelling in the background.
Trying to chase his
dog.
Ladies first. There we go.
Oh, thank
there
you.
There you go.
Smells very IPA.
Is it his dog he's looking for?
I don't know.
I was like, there's a kid's bike on the back, so I hope it's a kid.
Yelling Owen.
You see, I said ladies first is really because I wanted the bigger cup.
Yeah, I know.
It was a smooth move.
I know.
Well played.
All right.
That's pretty good. Oh, little Park Ave.
Yeah, that was from the Dirty Bike series. That's what Park Ave put on for the last of that series.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, those were nice cups.
Very nice.
Well,
all right, well, cheers. Yeah, cheers.
So yeah, today I raced a fat bike class. We were in the same field.
I raced Open Women, which
Open
does
Women.
the same as the fat bike in the sport.
How'd you finish? You know?
I won.
You won, yeah, naturally.
You didn't see her?
Yeah, I did see her. I did see her. And I have it on camera. This is going to be great footage, I think. She blew past me, and I tried to follow her through a really technical part, and I was all over the place. Pedals, feet came out of the pedals. I slammed into a tree.
Oh, you were GoProing?
Yeah, I was GoProing it, so we'll splice that in. It'll be really good. You'll see Alexa just totally dropping hardcore. It was awesome.
It was good. I think your tire pressure mattered a little bit today, because there's definitely some like greasy, muddy sections in there.
Dude, it was deep.
Yeah, I saw a couple guys like wiping right out in front of me.
When everybody came back with black and brown bikes from no matter what color it was and what they were riding, that's a muddy ride. That's a muddy ride.
Well, and it was only a couple of sections though. Like the rest of it was super dry.
2 giant puddles, and then the rest of it was totally reasonable.
Yeah.
So I was pre-riding around here, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be good. And then when I was watching the beginners come by and their butts were like completely brown, I couldn't figure out why they were so muddy. And then, I guess, I heard, oh, there's puddles. And then when I saw it, that's not a puddle, man. That's like a lake.
They put some of that in there too. That was it was a swamp.
Yeah, it did not smell good.
I'm getting tested for malaria after this. That was bad. But and Willo brought me a demo. So he pumped the tires way up before we went out, which is actually, it worked out. It was definitely the right decision because it was such a short section of mud that it wouldn't have mattered. And everything else was so dry. Yeah. So I would not have wanted it any other way, but we thought it was going to be dry.
Yeah, I mean, the whole game plan was, we haven't had rain in, a week? No, I guess we had a couple days ago, but usually it's been pretty dry for the most part. And I'm like, that's it. Tires are going to matter. We'll pump him up super hard. He'll be able to run it super fast, and then he hits mud. Yeah. So
tell me about the bike you set me up on.
All right, so right behind Alexa, actually, you can see we set him up on a Nitro Stout, Growler Nitro Stout on 27.5 carbon rims. On a 4.0, so it's pretty much the master of all summer riding, which is killer. And once you get on it, you'll realize, I mean, even this one had a Mastodon comp fork on it, so he had suspension to race on, and coming from the bike you had before, it just the weight-wise,
it's not even the same ballpark. I mean, it's disgustingly light. Like, I couldn't believe how light the bike was.
Yeah.
It actually threw me for a loop on some of the technical stuff because I'm used to just slamming this pig of a bike into things and it not mattering because nothing happened. And that bike was so light that I was bouncing around, and then I figured out like how to actually ride it a little bit better.
By the way, he picked up the bike 15 minutes-ish before he had to race. So
Yep. I didn't ride it at all. I raced it.
Not even on his own pedals?
No, that was a mistake. I should have ridden my own pedals. I came out of the pedals too many times. That was definitely an error on
So
my
some
part.
lessons learned today is maybe pre-ride the course like Alexa did. Maybe whole course riding it. And then,
your legs were too clean at the starting line. I was I don't think he checked that mud out.
But the way that bike climbs is amazing.
Yeah.
So like that just kind of off camber.
Yeah,
in
the
back.
Greasy climb.
Oh my God, it just floated up it. Like,
I like that climb a lot. Even when it's slippery, I think it's fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
How was Eagle? You don't have Eagle on yours. What is yours right now? What does your bike have?
My drivetrain?
Yeah.
X7.
X7 it's a 10 speed or 9 speed?
10.
10.
Yeah.
So did you ever even get to the Eagle? You probably didn't on this course. Okay, never mind. Don't disregard that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, unfortunately, he is super powerful, unlike me, which I would be in the Eagle half the ride trying to get through this thing.
I just not used to having it.
That's the difference is you probably were just geared out in your own mind, just switching gears.
Yeah, and I've never ridden a 1x on a mountain bike either.
What's yours, 2x?
My fat bike's probably pre-Growler existed. Like, no joke. Like, it was like a first generation.
We can cut some weight off it.
Yeah, by
bring it to the shop.
By
We'll
just junking it, yeah.
I'm okay with that theory, too. Yeah, so you actually have a new announcement, right? There's another race coming up?
Yeah, so let's back. We want to talk about events today.
Oh, events,
right?
sorry.
So, yeah. We've been talking, like, each one of these, we're talking about different parts of the bike community. So last time we did a lot about shops. This time we're going to talk about events, which is part of the reason, you're here, is you're going to talk a little about a great event coming up. Yeah. And I want to talk to you about, like, what you think an event should look like.
Okay.
I put on a few events. So we talk about, like, how events contribute to building and making a better cycling community, right?
Yeah.
Which is what this is sort of all about.
Yeah, and I've been to quite a few with Growler going out to some of these big events and how they really do bring the community together. So this will be kind of an interesting conversation to see the point of view of the different sides. And I'm going to give you the point of view not from a manufacturer side, but from a consumer side.
Right.
Just the guy who, average rider, what's it like?
Well, you're also like kind of a vendor.
Yeah.
Too, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you're going and setting up as Growler at the event, then that's a different perspective than I have as like an organizer. You have as I organize a free event. You're organizing races. I mean, they're all really different.
And each one of them have really a very interesting clientele that you can kind of approach. But if it can be done right, they really can hit them all. I mean, you've had conversations, Hardcore 24, some of the other races, which really could have an extra aspect to it, which would bring in festivals and events and other parts to it. Draw the group of kids out racing today.
That's why we kind of chose events. This is a great one, and Andy from Park Air puts on awesome events and has for years. And I've worked with him on our series, and he's done this series forever and cross races. And it's a very community oriented. That's always been his sort of thing with events too. Yeah. So it's a good launching point. But let's start with your event. So let's talk a little bit about that one coming up.
Okay, so I guess I'll preface, I don't know how to say that word. I'm the events co-chair of GROC, which is the Genesee Regional Off-Road Cyclists. It's the local IMBA chapter. So we do all of the trail maintenance in like Tryon Park, West Bay, Dreyer, OCP. We're adding Stid Hill this year. I know, it's really awesome.
Love some Stid Hill.
So we do like a lot of trail work throughout the year, and we ask our members to come out and contribute. And I know people see on Facebook, trail work days, trail crew days, join GROC, become a member. And we really want to make sure that our members know that they're appreciated, that we don't just want their money and that we don't just want their manpower. But we want them, like we want their personalities and their bikes, and we want them to have fun. So
we want their community, right?
Right. We want their friendship.
Yeah.
And so what we started doing last year is we did a bike festival called Burning Bike at Ontario County Park. Burning Bike existed a while ago before I was involved with GROC, and when we decided to bring it back, I was kind of like assigned, Alexa, why don't you organize Burning Bike? Oh, okay. So
you've voluntold.
I know, really. That's how everything happens in my life. So it was pretty small last year with some camping, group rides. We had the most awesome bonfire ever. And this year we're really trying to grow the event so that it's going to be 2 days instead of 1 day. We're going to have free camping. We're going to have lots of group rides, clinics.
And where were they holding that for all those who weren't at Burning Bike last year that really do want to come? Because it was a fun event. Growler was there. I was there.
It's at Ontario County Park. So really, if you've never been there, it's definitely worth the drive from Rochester. It's worth the drive from Buffalo, from Syracuse. Like, it is a really spectacular place to ride.
And it's really not that far away.
No, I would say it's
90.
45 minutes from my house, which is in
Want to jump in, buddy? Come on.
Oh, we got another.
Yeah. So Jeff Wasdorp is going to join us here. And look at that.
Another
Magically,
cup.
another mug comes up. If you want to jump in and just
So
jump over the.
what are some of the first of all the dates? Let's talk about dates.
So it's August 10th and 11th, and luckily I know that because people have been asking me, and I have to look it up.
Well, you are the organizer. So
I know, I really
that.
should know that. So it's a Saturday to Sunday, and we're, starts at around noon on Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
And we are still working on the schedule. So we're gonna have some group rides. We're gonna do some Single Track Academy is gonna do some clinics. Not totally sure. Growler's gonna be there.
We'll be there as well.
Yep.
Like we did last year. And honestly, it was great. It was very beneficial for us. So for any of the other bike shops that are out there, we hope that they can all join us.
Yeah, we really want, like, if you are a bike shop owner, come set up a table at Burning Bike and bring your demo bikes if you have them. I mean, we want everybody in the community. It's not like, oh, we only want this one shop. We want everybody.
And for what the event was last year, kind of adding into the Growler side of this part, it was for the bike shops going out there. It was incredibly beneficial for us to go up. We actually, and it took a while to see some of the results, but we just had one of our new Growler family members join us, and Kim, he came, and him and his buddies were just happened to be out there riding that weekend, and they saw us, they sat down.
Yeah.
they
Oh yeah,
came and hung in our tent.
he's got that awesome painted Growler,
Yeah.
the purple haze.
Purple haze, yeah.
I've
So it's
seen
racing
that.
on the last one.
So
Yeah.
he actually, that's where we met him. He didn't know anything about us
Yeah.
until they went to Burning Bike, and he sat down with me and Metzi and Potsy, the other owners of Growler, and we just hung out. And that is what Burning
Yeah.
Bike's about. I mean, at least that's what I liked
mean,
about
we
it.
just want to make connections and try to give back and bring the cyclists together for rides and something that they can just enjoy and camp and have beers, and that's all I want.
There was
from
like
it.
giveaways and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You guys-
I got some raffle prizes. So if you want to donate a raffle prize, let me know. We had a really awesome tent donated by REI that people were like fighting over. So it was awesome.
Yeah, and and there's not a ton of weekend mountain bike stuff in
Right.
Western New York. So we've got several series like this have popped up. Weeknight series.
Yeah,
that
we
have
have
been really
weeknight
good.
series, but we don't have any weekend races. We don't have anything. No festivals.
Yeah, there's very little around. So it's the S6 that Andy used to put on was
Right.
one that was kind of a key staple.
Yeah, the
Is that the 6
hardcore.
hours?
Yeah, that was
That's-
a 6-hour one.
that's
There is
not
a hardcore
happening
24.
this year, I don't
Yes,
think.
it
That one
is.
has
Yes.
the
Suicide
S6.
Six?
No, that's what I say hardcore.
Yeah,
Hardcore
hardcore.
is-
is.
Hardcore is because you're doing hardcore with Growler, right?
Working
yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Yeah.
I
But,
got one. Need a couple more people.
Yeah, I like, sorry to jump off that subject, but and we said we weren't going to do this, but we're going to do it anyways. Hardcore 24 is awesome. Even if you are not a crazy racer, that was one of my favorite races ever to go to. It's 24 hours of racing. It's actually the same exact place that we're going to be having the Burning Bike. Go join us. It is awesome, and we just have a fun festival, but it's only one day,
Right.
which is what I kind of like what you guys are starting to do.
Yeah.
And unofficially, but we're going to announce it unofficially here because we still got to wait on a few more permits. But we're looking to add a race to Burning Bike that we'll be putting on. The same people that do dirty bikes and all of those things, the Rock Cret. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, our organization is going to work with Grok.
Yeah.
So we have everything kind of set up. We're just waiting for the final approvals from the park.
Yep.
And Sunday we'll have a race component that adds into the festival. So
Nice.
Saturday will be rides and racing on Sunday. There'll still be
Yeah.
rides on Sunday. So we'll try to add as many sort of events and bring as many of the community in. And I'm excited because I've never put on a mountain bike race before.
Yeah.
Go.
And because I'm a mountain bike racer and I like to casually mountain bike, I want everybody that I know at this event in one.
And
some
she's going to design the
capacity.
course for me. So.
Yeah.
Well, and
I
that's
sit and rely on her.
And that's
right?
an awesome place to ride. So if you've
Oh,
never been
yeah,
out to Ontario County Parks, thanks to Grok and some of the groups that are out there, that is a killer place. Like the trail selection you can choose for a park or for a race,
Yeah.
it is phenomenal. I mean, you got me all excited.
Yeah.
It's fun riding.
It's awesome riding, and
Yep.
there's areas that are it's a little bit more technical than drier, but not in every area.
Yeah, there's everything from beginner to
Yeah.
I would say not super advanced. Like you're not going to be like hucking off huge drops or
no.
anything. But if you're a beginner, you can very easily go and ride.
Especially the top areas.
Yep.
It's that one black trail that drops
Yeah.
down and that gets a little bit of a
Yep.
nasty climb up. But for the race, they bypassed it for the 24. So
Yeah, they don't do it for the 24 because there's a overlap section where you can't.
We're
go
looking
both ways.
theoretically. We're looking to include that for the expert in the sport, and then keep that out of the beginner, so the beginners and the kids can race the easier stuff up top, and the experts in the sports can race something a little harder. but of course it'll be a little shorter than a 24-hour, so a little different kind of racing. So
Yeah, that's a big month. If we're gonna get into the Black Trail, that's gonna be awesome.
So we'll see. We're still working out some of the details.
We're hashing out the race course.
Yeah, but it'll be fun. So
yeah, that's a great place.
Yeah,
awesome. So you can do that on day 2.
Yes.
Day 2. Yeah.
So what's going on day 1?
So day 1 is going to be group rides, clinics, lots of kid-oriented stuff. So Grok has this Little Rippers group that's happens on Dryer Road on maybe Tuesday night, and it's a bunch of parents riding with their kids, and it's super cool. There's like 30 or 40 of them. You know, if you ever run into them at Dryer, it's amazing because these kids are they're so awesome.
What are the age groups for those kids so that if there's anybody out there that wants to bring their kid out, they can have
I mean, I don't know if there's really a minimum age group. It's mostly like, are they able to pedal their bike in Dryer? Because Dryer can be a kind of hilly. But I know there's kids at 8-ish and all the way up. I know there's some kids that are older, like early teens that are kind of, you know, they're in limbo right now because they're a little too old for the Little Rippers. They're kind of like medium rippers. So
I'm
I
sure
think
that's what they want to call.
That's what we call Jeff.
I think that as summer goes along, we might have someone coming in to kind of take the medium rippers and do like a bigger ride with them. So they're gonna have. Last year we did a lot of games and stuff with the kids, and the Little Rippers group kind of spearheaded that. I handed that off.
Do we have a NICA team here? Sorry to try to jump
No, I don't
off.
think we do.
Maybe that would be a good idea to try to intermingle with the group with taking Grok and do an event with just this intermediate group of that junior high school group. Maybe Growler can jump in.
Yeah, that'd be
Look at that. That's actually not a...
Yeah, there's some NICA teams popping up, I think, in Syracuse-ish area and stuff. But we don't have anything locally.
Because I know most of the races are that way. Most of the events are... I say
right.
that way.
Everything's
that way.
out
No one knows what that way means.
Yeah, I think Syracuse is right there.
towards New York City.
Yeah, towards New York City is where
Yeah.
Rob Baker, one of the Growler guys, he's big. He has his own team, and he does a tremendous job with getting all these kids together. But, you know, it kind of goes beyond just the riding. It's giving these kids something to do and going to events and being together. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was an athlete in high school, and I think it's the best thing for kids. I mean, especially, you know, as adults, you know, activity is declining. I think it's really important to start activity early and get it ingrained.
But you know what's even interesting? So for all those who didn't get a chance to start at a young age, Jeff, how old were you when you ride your first bike? Like, not your first bike, but when you actually started getting back into mountain biking?
I started this 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I won't ask you your age because I see you're avoiding that one. So at least 23.
Old.
So Jeff actually came to us, and this is kind of going to that thing. If you've never been out there, come join us.
Right.
Grab a bike, go to the Burning Bike, meet some of the other locals.
We'll have beginner rides like that are going to take it real easy, go on easy trails. Yeah, we want everyone. And I know that personally, we run a ladies' ride on Monday nights at 6 p.m. and it is a no-drop ride. So if you have never even been on a mountain bike, you can come to our ride,
Well,
and we will not leave you in the woods.
And that brings us to like what's important about events and what really needs to happen with events. And you know, I do a lot of road events and things like that, and you can see, particularly in the road, I'm not sure it's happening here as much, and you would know much better than I do in the mountain bike scene, but the road scene in particular is it's really down. You know, every event I've been to this year, every race I've been to, the numbers are low, and it's sad. It's unfortunate to see, but it's because we're not bringing new people into the sport, right? Yeah. Mountain biking, cyclocross does a pretty good job of it in a lot of cases. I think mountain biking does, but it's like, how do we create events that bring people in who are not riding or racing, and they get involved?
Yeah, and one of the things so a few years ago there was the Western New York Bike Fest, and I actually thought it was a good event. And
I thought it was a great event.
Yeah, we set up something happened. I don't know what happened to it.
The organizer decided that she couldn't do it anymore.
Okay,
and so
that's
actually that's kind of what happened is Western New York Bike Fest went away. And we kind of saw that and went, well, maybe we could do something to replace it. And it's a little different because Western New York Bike Fest had road rides and honestly, the organizer, Cindy, I don't know how she did it because she got demo trucks. Like, I have been trying to get demo trucks to Burning Bike and I can't get anyone. So except for Growler.
So why don't we
a lot of demo trucks are not there.
Yeah, demo trucks are phasing out. They really are.
Part of it,
They have one East Coast truck, and the East Coast truck is going to NEMBA and Dirt Fest, and they're not
sticking
coming
to the big events.
They're not coming to Little Burning.
Which is this is where it comes back into, we talk about community, right? So how do you get more involvement, which is what we're talking about? How do we get more involvement? And this is where it does take the local bike shop. We talked about it last week, or last episode, which is the heart of the industry is the bike shop. And without the bike shop driving people to these events, or saying, hey, look, I got a whole fleet of bikes. The problem is the bike shops don't have a fleet of bikes. And that's where you need companies like mine who do have fleets of bikes that can just be ridden till they die. And we bring them out to these events. And this is, maybe I can reach out to some of these bike shops and say, hey, let's get your vendors out here and let's start doing it. Because once again, going back to the heart of the problem, or where we really need to have a better job of doing, is getting new cyclists in. Jeff being a prime example, when he joined 2 years ago, literally, I remember talking to him about it. Never been on a bike, or never been on, especially an expensive bike, and now he's pretty much the crackhead of bicycling.
He's at everything.
Oh, dude, he is.
I can't believe you've only been around for 2 years. I feel like
that's it.
Yeah, just started 2 years. Well, it's like a kid. It's like being a kid again.
Yeah.
Just running in the woods. Oh, this is just great.
Right.
But you don't get to experience those things unless someone's there.
What was the catalyst for you 2 years ago when you were not involved in it at all?
Someone introduced me to it locally. I didn't know we had all these trails. Honestly, if I knew these trails were here, I would have been on my old little Jameis cruddy bike, just trying to barrel through these woods a long time ago, but I didn't know they were here. And as soon as he introduced me to that, I said, oh man, this is just great. I'm a kid again. And that's what it is.
And you went fat. You went straight fat.
I went 27.5.
Oh, you
and
did.
Then I switched to fats, and then I can just go all year round.
Yeah. And now you haven't went back on your 27.5s.
No, I've just been bigger fats.
Just getting fatter.
Bigger fats.
Just getting fatter.
Bigger and lighter, right?
Bigger and super light. Ultra light.
Yeah, yours is ridiculous.
Super light. But
would anybody like some more, by the way?
I'll take a little more.
It's the best.
I
didn't realize all these
really
trails,
like IPAs,
right in Irondequoit, you have
tell me
Bay Park West.
Right.
You have Tryon.
I didn't want to go too
And then there's other trails right around that, you can kind of poke your nose into. Some people like you not to.
Yeah,
people,
we got some great
There's a
riding
ton
around
of
here.
trails that are right here that people really don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, I can ride to 2 trail systems from my house.
That's
And I live in, I live in East Irondequoit, basically the city.
Correct.
I mean, probably I must live near you if you can ride it.
So you have Durand, then you have the zoo, then you have Bay Park.
Some of those may or may not be
Tryon.
official.
Yeah.
They're not
As we say that out loud.
Grok condones riding in Tryon and West Bay.
Yeah, you're gonna get us in trouble with Grok.
There's
They're not gonna let me put the
lots of
race on. No.
Well, some of them are not. They're tough to even walk in. You get into some of these Lucian parks. I mean, they're just tricky just to walk through.
Yeah.
Right.
More or less ride through. But they're really old school trails back there. Been there for 30, 40 years.
But this is where Burning Bike and some of the other events that are out there become super important to the community, is because it gives you an opportunity to meet people that are just like you. The maybe you haven't been on the trail as much as others have been riding. Like I've been riding 13 years, I think now, somewhere around there. And now I don't really need anybody to go ride. I just go ride. But what I enjoy the most about riding is riding with my buddies. I met them by fluke, but for most people, that's not the case. They have events like races. They have Burning Bike, the Dirty Bike Series. I think the Dirty Bike Series.
There you go. Yeah, you're right.
Dirty.
I did say it right. All right, Dirty Bike Series.
Dirty
All
Bike
right.
Series.
It's the you and the dirty that throws me off every time. All
It's a
right.
big community. It's awesome community
Dirty.
of people. You see different people at different events. It is a small community, but it's great if we can get more people involved.
Right, which is always the problem, because these events in general, putting on so many events for the last several years and road and everything else, it's having enough people to make it happen.
Yeah, it's
Well,
getting volunteers.
Yep,
It was a nightmare.
volunteers, and it depends. Every event has its own sort of challenges. If you're doing a mountain bike race, you don't have to worry about traffic. But you got to worry about permits and things like that. If you're doing a road race, you got to worry about traffic control. You got to always kind of, no matter what it is. But you go through all of the organization and all of those components of it, and if you're not getting a good turnout and you're losing money, you can't do it. Right?
Well, and this is the kind of the interesting part to it, because this is a free event.
Right.
Correct? I'm glad I said that right. So
Yep.
you'd be mad at me if it wasn't free.
No,
at the
it's
moment.
free. It's free.
In that, just thinking about this, if you guys are out there and you have time, please volunteer to Grok. Grok does so much for us here in central New York. But Or are we central or western?
I say Western.
I grew up in Florida, so I'm way up north. Everything's north to me.
Same
Yeah,
to
We're not in central New York.
You're one of those guys that says
we're Western New York.
upstate.
Yeah, we're in upstate.
No, we are Western.
Not a thing. That's not a real region.
Western New York.
Like people think anything north of the Catskills is just upstate. Like there's a whole lot of stuff.
Listen, when I moved up here, I had to figure out where Rochester was.
Yeah.
Or actually, it was Syracuse, and I'm like, what the hell is Syracuse? This is
Well, that is central New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I didn't realize they even existed. I thought New York was that little city, and that was all you had.
Yeah.
So when I was like, what the hell? So
Expand your mind.
yeah, well, listen, I grew up
more
in Florida
to it.
education. There's only so much I can do. No offense to anybody that lives in Florida, but I did. So but that brings up another problem. So I've been to a ton of events, and the biggest events are actually paid events.
Right.
Because of the issues with volunteers
Right.
and not having enough resources to help. Like, Alexa, I don't know how you're going to pull it off. You can see the nervous laugh coming right out of it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
No, I mean, last year I pretty much organized Burning Bike completely by myself, and then I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I asked all of my friends to help me, so I was like selling raffle tickets and announcing things, and like it was maniacal.
It's a lot, right?
And
It's a
so
lot.
this year I'm doing a little bit better trying to delegate. But yeah, I mean, I'm basically like tapping people, right? Help me.
Help.
Because when we put out like, hey, we need volunteers, it's just crickets.
It's great.
So yeah.
Everybody loves to use the swimming pool. They don't want to
Right,
clean it.
right.
So
And
it's
that's
kind of
where really, as an
Yeah.
event organizer, particularly racing, so racing is always a paid event just because you can't even begin to do that as a free event.
Right.
But like, there's people who, I guess, there's always this weird thing of like, when you put on races, well, what are you raising money for? It's kind of like nothing.
Nothing. You're
Like,
just
No,
trying
you're
to
barely
friggin'
breaking
race.
even.
Right.
And,
Right,
and part of that, which is the difficult side to it, is everybody does want to have some sort of charity they're supporting in this industry, and it's difficult because the reality is you have to make some money to
Right.
be able to do this. Otherwise, we can't do it as a business for bikes or
and we need to find more ways to make it profitable for everybody who's involved. Well, also the people who are paying for the event are getting something for their money. It's not a donation, but like the more people who are making money and the more economy that's involved just in the whole thing, the better that it's going to be.
Yep.
You know, you don't go to a football game, in an NFL game, and not pay. You don't go to dinner and not pay. You don't go to Darien Lake and not pay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like all of your recreation is around an economy.
Yeah.
And cycling should be the same way.
My
But
cycling
oftentimes-
is.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I was gonna say
The amount of money that I've spent on cycling.
A lot of times
Yeah.
it's sort of like people get standoffish about it. It's
Yeah.
like there's nothing wrong with that. Like
Right.
the people who are doing this should get paid for what they're doing. With volunteers, that's always a huge
hard.
issue.
Yeah.
Especially when we're putting on races where they're on the road, right? So
Right.
I need people out on the road.
Right, you need marshals standing
Yeah.
out there in the hot sun.
And I don't want to ask for for a ton of volunteers to come
Right.
out and do that, and I don't want my racers from my race team to have to not race to do
Right.
that. So I always pay an organization. I find a fire call or
Oh,
some
that's
sort of thing,
awesome.
and I always pay them money to come out and do it.
Yeah.
Right? I got to have the money to do it, and I got to put it up as part of my budget. But then they come out, they make some money. They're
Right.
working with the community, so
Yeah.
it helps with the community, right? And it makes those things work. And
Yeah.
we need to. But people get really sort of touchy about like who's making money and promoters
Yeah.
making money, and it sort of depends on the discipline.
I don't think
Not a
any
money
race
maker.
race promoters are not.
By the way, we're not making a lot of
they're
money.
not making a
No,
lot of
making
money.
it.
It wouldn't be
Yeah.
a horrible thing if people were.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. I feel
well,
like
because
they
you would
should
have
be.
more.
Right.
And-
It would
and-
create more opportunity.
And I think we saw this quite a bit this year. Like, even owning my own manufacturing company, I didn't realize how many races we actually had here this year. Now, I don't know if they're all just now popping up, and now because of Jeff, he's always hanging out with us at the shop, that he's asking me, hey, you racing this weekend? And I'm always telling him no. I don't know if that's the case, but the reality is there's a lot more being popped up, but nothing's free.
Sure.
So,
It's okay.
It's
I
okay.
I understand you have to pay. I mean,
Yeah.
the organizers are putting it on. They have to pay for it. They got to pay for the people to
I mean,
stand on.
Arrowhead, I think they donate their proceeds back.
And some people do, and
Yeah.
that's great. There's nothing
Right,
wrong
right,
with
right,
people who want to do that. I'm all for that. If
but they
that's
also
your
put
model.
on a pretty, like, it's just, the August family is timing the event. Very
Right.
minimal. There's
Very
no
minimal.
road marshals, so they're able
Right.
to take the profits and donate it back.
that's great.
and if something goes wrong, no one's upset.
Right.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that model, but
Right.
everything shouldn't have to fall into
Right,
that
no,
model.
I totally
and
agree.
You can't always do that, in terms
Right.
of, because like you said, like volunteers, one thing, and somebody told me, I won't say who it is, but I had a prominent shop owner in Rochester who gave me some really good advice years ago before I put on my first race. And he said, like, the first year or two, you'll get a ton of people who are like really
Right,
eager,
super
and then
excited.
After a year, 2 years, then it's like crickets, you know? So like, you really have to incentivize those people. Instead of begging them, hey, will you come out? It's, hey, I'm going to pay you. Like, just like anything else. I'm going to pay you. Maybe they're not going to make a ton of money, but I'm going to pay them something to show up. Yeah. And I always try to do that with my crew and the, you know, volunteers that we have and people working reg and everything that we do. You know, we try to incentivize them to some extent because they deserve it. They're working really hard.
Of course.
Like, they deserve something out of it.
I mean, how many hours are you going to put in? I mean, realistically,
I've already put in so many hours.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of hours of just her volunteer time, not including everyone else that gets
involved. All the other
involved
people that are going to help me come that weekend.
Yeah, because it's not the most interesting. So I've been to Nimba Fest and Dirt Fest. I've been to both of them, and those are some huge events when you go to them. It takes, you know, a week to set up for that event just so that I can come there and, you know, drink beer and listen to music.
And forget marketing.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, and that's even more competitive. That just every year that grows. I mean, dirty bikes, I start 6 months out easy.
Yeah, I mean, and we're bad at that. Like, I'm the first one to admit that I'm like, oh, did we make a Facebook event? Like, we got to do that because I'm the only one person, and like I work full time and I train and race, and I'm also trying to do this on the side. So you know.
So for all you out there who need we need some volunteers to help out with this year's event.
You know, it is crazy. Like I just did a 24-hour race over the weekend, and people they have volunteers at night. How did they get those people? Like there was our campsite was right by a road crossing, and there's people out there. One guy, you know, telling, you know, stopping cars and stuff, and all night long, and they probably are paid because who would do that?
It's one of the biggest events in North America.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 3,000 races.
It's huge. I'm sure they have a budget there.
So they have enough money coming in that they can turn around and then pay people to then, you know, manage.
But that's the key. So we go back into the other part. How do we draw more people to these events?
You gotta start way early.
So I'll say this. One of the things about Western New York Bike Fest that I found interesting was they were charging the vendors to show up. And that might have been part of some of the breakdown of the event in general. But I easily made that money. I remember the first time I went, it was 2 years in running. The first time I went was with the very first Growler I ever had, set up next to Niner with 30 bikes.
Right.
And I remember sitting there going, what did I get myself into? I'm like, I remember calling my brother on the phone. I'm like, I'm out of my league. Yeah. But it was the jump start for my company.
Right.
And that was the day I sold the very first Growler ever, like at that event. So it's events like this that really should be helping these local vendors boost their part.
The other thing is getting non-industry companies who people would be interested in involved, which is what we've always done with sponsorship for our events. Whether it's once again nut butter.
By the way, that's going to go with.
I have so much of that. I have like 20 of those jars, but they're delicious, and.
That's not right. That's not right. We don't know. You didn't hear that. Hopefully, in that conversation there. But
I'm glad that she's the one who said that. If we're gonna make offensive comments, it's good that the female's the one who's making offensive comments.
I would never do that.
As we kind of wrap up here today, sun's going down, we're going to run out of light, we're going to run out of space. Let's go through, I want to know number one thing that makes a good event from everybody here.
Oh boy.
So what is, like, for you as a rider, as somebody who's going to show up, whether it's a race, a festival, I don't care what it is, but like, what is the number one thing you want to see? We'll start with you.
So for me in particular, my favorite thing about all the festivals I've been to is the ability to hang out with everybody that's there and socialize. It's always a social aspect. Really doesn't have anything to do with the bikes. Sounds kind of crazy. It's my favorite part.
What do you think? Number one thing.
So I would tend to agree with that, but I want to go somewhere where the trails are just amazing and marked. So like I went to the Shindig a couple years ago, and they had maps at every intersection, and I thought that was amazing because the last thing that I want to do is get my phone out and look at trail forks and try to figure out where I am. I just want to look at that map on the tree with a little X on it and be like, I can just take this trail. And that levels it up for me personally.
I've been to very big festivals, and she's 100% right. Yeah. We've been lost and not realizing where we were, and that's no fun when you're out at a festival. Yeah.
It's just
So I think I should probably take a page out of that but I'm
That's a
not that
great idea.
organized. So I guess we'll see if I'm the one trudging down the black trail to put a laminated trail map on a tree.
Before you enter, it's going to be
stapling
30
it.
minutes.
Don't go down here.
Don't
if
go
you're
down
not
there.
willing to go back up.
What do you got? What do you think? Number one thing.
I like it when people that put on the events have riders that are familiar with the site. So you have your, like an expert, medium, beginner riders, and they'll take groups out because then we can explore. Because, like I said, if the trails are not marked well, you're just kind of banging through trails, the anxiety of where am I? Am I lost? Can I turn around yet? I like that someone's, we get a big group ride. You get a good, expert or medium rider, and we can get a number of people together, just rip through the trails. That's fun because in Shenango, we could just rip through them, and I don't have to be at all concerned about where I am. I just ride. I don't have to think where I am. I don't think where I got to turn around. I just ride, and it's just fun. And then there's different levels of people. So someone wants to go a little slower. They take someone out beginner. That's nice because then I don't have to think about where I am because I just want to ride.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about where I am. Just it's nice about the local trails. I don't think about it.
What's yours?
Cool. I'm always at races, so I want to see really like hard racing, and then a lot of really like drinking beer afterwards. Like it has to be the
Free
balance.
beer.
I was going to add another number one reason why you need to
Yeah.
have it. I really do think, no BS, you should join us.
Yeah.
But it really needs to have that. Drinking beer.
Yeah, I love the drinking and the socializing and hanging out afterward, but I also love the respect for, like, let's go out and race no matter how fast you are, no matter what level you're at. Like, there's a respect for that part of the game, and that's really cool and doesn't necessarily mean you got to be on the podium, but that you're racing and you're racing hard and you're in that competition.
Can I add one more to this? Sorry to keep adding number one. I got 3 number ones and reasons. So, going to Dirt Fest versus going to Dirt Fest.
Do you want to race town?
Racetown
Yeah.
versus going to Nimba Fest. Nimba Fest was much more family friendly. Like, I would never take my kids to Racetown, but I would love to bring my whole family over to Nimba Fest. That is a super important thing, and which is what Burning Bike was last year for me. I would love. Actually, I think my wife and kids did show up at that one just to hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we want your wives and kids, for dudes that ride bikes. Bring your wives, bring your kids, like, hang out.
And
My
for
kids have
women who
been
rides bikes, bring your husband.
Yeah, we have a ladies ride,
That's
so
right.
Well, and
ladies
that's what you
can
need.
ride too.
And that's what we want. That's the whole idea of this. So it's
Idea of
that-
growing the demographics,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, bring the family, and when we talk about for all those that are going to be going to Burning Bike, there is going to be a family-oriented aspect to this. I know there is because I was there last year and I loved it.
Yeah.
And it's my family went, and I'm assuming that's going to happen again this year. So sorry to add another number one to it, but that was it.
All right.
That's it. Family-oriented. So
All right. Well, that's it for Growlers with Willo number 2.
there it is, baby.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time.
See it.